Hello, today I'm joined by David from Cooper Wallace Estate Agents in Bedford, and we're here to talk about their experience with one particular supplier, which is Sinclair Taylor. So David, welcome. How are you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks. Very good.
Well, we talked off camera that you sort of had a busy start to the year, and we kind of know what happens when estate agents get busy. Some of the stuff that we'd love to spend our time doing sort of slips through our fingers at that point. And in particular, that can also come down to people that we've dealt with where we feel that we might be owed a fee. And yet we haven't got the time, sometimes, all the resources to chase it. You guys have been happily using Sinclair Taylor to sort of fix that end of the problem. Just take us through how you use it and how it's worked for you guys.
Yeah, definitely. I've actually known Bill and the team there for probably over 10 years now. At my previous company now, obviously Cooper Wallace as well. So they've been very good in assisting us with collecting late payments and bad debts, as it were. So I've been liaising with them for a number of years, and it does take a lot of the headache away from it, because obviously in this job there's lots of different facets to it, and being able to follow up payments and stuff like that, you need to keep on top of them, and that's something that they do very well. And Bill's experience in not only the property industry but also as well, obviously the legal aspect of it as well, is really invaluable when it comes to how we approach certain situations, and how and what's best to find the solution for those as well. So yeah, we found it really useful.
I mean, this is a bit of a no-brainer solution because it doesn't actually sort of cost you anything to run it. But just talk to us about the ease of actually sort of integrating it with what you do. Is it simply sort of you keep them updated in terms of any withdrawn stock or anything like that, and they monitor it for you? Is that basically your
process? That's part of their process and offering as well. So there's two aspects to it. So one, they can obviously check our withdrawn properties to make sure there isn't any private sales where we may have introduced a buyer, or indeed the other side of it where you get someone who's introduced but then maybe goes then to view it through another agent, and we've been in sole agency on it, and obviously if they're under contract with us, we're entitled to our fee. So again, they can obviously check land registry and check records to ensure that basically we're getting paid for the job that we do. If we introduce a buyer to a property through our marketing means, then obviously under contract we're due a fee. And then the second side of it is obviously where we have completed a sale, and we have had a few, but not many.
Every agent has some,
not many, but there's always a few who feel they're above the law, perhaps, maybe, or they feel that our service hasn't warranted the figure that they're paying to us, that under contract, again, that they've signed, don't pay us. So obviously where they come in on that is they help and assist us with being able to retrieve that money, and sometimes, and I've had instances where we have gone to court to redeem those fees as well, and Bill and the team there have assisted really well with that, because it obviously, when you're getting courts involved, that's completely above my pay grade.
But on 2 points there, really, I think we're all familiar with buyer's remorse. There is seller's remorse, where they feel that at the end of achieving this massive goal that they wanted you to achieve for them, and they felt that maybe they could have got it cheaper or they could have done better, and they choose to sort of renegotiate at the end of it. So we do all have a handful of those. It's not an everyday scenario, but when it does, I feel that sometimes our ability as estate agents to claim that money back under a contractual agreement is always somehow weaker than if I handed it to a solicitor to deal with, because once solicitors are involved, people tend to sit up and listen because they realize that some resources being committed to it, and these people know what they're doing. So in many ways, I feel like Sinclair Taylor might even have a better chance of claiming a fee than you or I would if we went direct.
Yeah, without question. I think obviously the other benefit, not only, as you mentioned, being from a legal aspect, is that they're a completely independent party to the transaction. You know, and I've had situations where, you know, we've had situations where people haven't paid us, and obviously I've actually been dealing with that customer for a number of weeks and months, and sometimes where you've built up even sometimes a good rapport with people, they still make that conscious decision not to pay for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And it's quite a difficult conversation to have with people when you've got that rapport, to basically turn around and say to them, well, look, you've got to pay us, otherwise we're going to take you to court. It's quite a difficult conversation to have with people, particularly when that rapport's there. So where they can come in well is they're coming completely independent and impartial as well, which really helps to, you know, I've had many instances where they've been able to redeem the fee for us where we've not been able to, because we've been a connected person within that you know, within that transaction.
So I suppose the obvious answer to my next question is yes, absolutely. But you would recommend other agents to sort of check out Sinclair Taylor's services and try and integrate it into what they do?
Absolutely. I mean, it's difficult for me to quantify over probably the last 10 or 12 years exactly how much money that Sinclair Taylor have actually been able to sort of bring in, you know, for myself and my previous role and my current role. But in terms of value for money, you certainly get a good return on your investment, because
even if it's just one, I think
absolutely,
if we took an average fee level, you know, it's a good few £1,000s in the bank that you wouldn't have seen otherwise. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's the thing, is it's some people disappear in the night, and you know, and there's no way for us as agents to be able to track and trace them, and to be able to send the correct you know, letters and informing of court proceedings to them. You know, we're estate agents at the end of the day. We're not barristers or solicitors, and that's where their expertise comes in, because if it's not for that intervention and for their expertise, there's a good chance we might not ever see that fee. So, you know, the savings that we've had over the course of, you know, the last 10 years plus dealing with them, you know, it's definitely worth the money.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today. We wish you continued success this year, and hopefully you don't need to sort of claim back those fees too often, but if you do, it sounds like you're really well covered.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Thank you, David. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, David.
Thank you.